All right, indeed. Finally giving you a proper response to your outstanding letter of a week or two ago. And I'll do this by reading the part that you wrote first, so that'll refresh your memory on just what I'm talking about. Enjoyed a sunrise 14.7 mile bike ride loop Sunday morning. Outstanding. If you can't be in church, then you better be out in creation. My helmet caused some minor discomfort pressing against the donor sides. Oh, yikes. All the recovery is well underway. Now comes the waiting for any results. That's got to be difficult. Especially with school starting and having the Kim Jong-un mandatory haircut. Be hip about it. Just pretend like it's a hair design. All right, thanks for the new videos. You're welcome. It's always nice to have a friend who's actually watching these things. I can send a video out to potentially 1 billion people and get 0 responses. It's very frustrating. I see where you had an altercation with an idiot in an SUV. Yeah, I have lots of altercations with automobiles now that I'm strictly walking. This is Trent. My only concern is that he is likely to be a coward with a gun. Well, the last coward I faced up to was in line at 7-Eleven, and a shorter gentleman behind me was giving the Nepalese server trouble. So I got in his face, was walking home, and the next thing I knew, a bottle came back and hit me directly on my pill bottle container, directly on that, and bounced right off unharmed. So I avoid these people as much as I can, but when you see toxic bullying behavior, I think, as Mayor Giuliani says, that's one key, is to stand up to bullies. If I drink 6 or more beers in a weekend night, I find I need to go walking in the neighborhood to clear my head and avoid a hangover. Great strategy. I've been using walking for years to get rid of all kinds of things. I just don't look intimidating in Hawaiian shirt, shorts, and sandals. The Rock's a good idea. You got to be careful what you have in your pockets when the cops pick you up. And I wouldn't say this rock is for self-defense. I would say I'm a teacher, and this rock is for study in the geology class, because they can get you for carrying a concealed knife. They can get you for carrying anything that can be construed as a concealed weapon. And Gringos are not popular here either. I live in an entire complex where I'm one of the few Gringos. You're much more likely to hear Spanish spoken than English. And I like it. I like being able to go out the door and not worry about things, and living in the lower to middle class quarters. And I refuse to move to the uppy apartments. And good to hear you're questioning your beliefs in Catholicism, always. If I had all the answers to life questions, there would never been a need for Martin Luther and so many others to revolt and put to death by the church. Yes, the Spanish Inquisition, but you have the Holy Wars, you have lots of things that are very confusing, that only with time does it breathe out the truth. And I think that's what's happening with the homosexual debate. I think with time it will be considered like the civil rights. Civil rights was often quoted verse in Scripture why there should not be mixing of the races, and you really have to go into the Old Testament for that, as the New Testament talks about slave. There's neither slave nor free man. There's neither man nor woman, and there's only one, and that's the belief in God. So I'm sure many gay people believe in God, and that seems to be the one consistent faith quality of requirement of God. amazing with the comb over and glasses how much you look like Pope Francis. I somehow find that funny. I've gotten some good response from people who do know Mike, and the rest has been none. I probably think they think it's some other person. I have my hair styled today like I usually wear it, and it doesn't involve anything near a comb over. I believe this Pope would also hold open the doors for others. Yeah, I'm cutting back on that. I'm going to let the little girl do it who's up there, because believe it or not, when I walked up, it is kind of awkward for someone to be opening the door. And if anyone should be doing that, it should be a kid. So I'm done with that for now, just going straight in. The one horrifying thing is I've learned that missing Mass 2 times when I was physically able to go is a mortal sin. And my hair stood up on end when I heard that. I couldn't believe a mortal sin. This is ridiculous. You miss a day at church, and the whole key to the circle of Catholicism is to always put the priest in control. Now the priest is directly in control, because if you don't go to confession, you can't take communion. And if you can't take communion, then you are missing the literal body and blood of Christ, which brings healing and grace and relief. It's a spin cycle. And I deliberately took confession last Sunday rather than obey this ridiculous rule, but I will indeed go to confession this Saturday. They have a 5 o'clock service, and we'll tell them, what I think and how it doesn't seem to be, fair to me. One thing all the pretty boys I dealt with that youth and middle age lacked was compassion for others and their actions, adversarially impacted on others. I call it the Maddie Syndrome. I was not pretty, but I did have character, integrity, class, and honor, and all traits lacking among those I mistakenly worshipped when I was younger. I agree. You've definitely built character, honorable character, teaching in the inner city with guys who are going to end up in prison if they don't learn how to read. That's about as honorable as you can get. Your imitation of Mike was right on with both deliveries. He no doubt would have brought up the word record to question your mental status. You have some of Mike's traits, but fortunately you are not a rageaholic, and I suspect you remain loyal to your wife, especially if she was dying. In no way have you turned into Mike, but Maddie certainly looks a lot like Grandpa Luther. Yeah, he looks and acts a lot like Grandpa Luther. That's an interesting observation. I made it before, and he took it as offense. Initially, Pastor Kliblig stuck me as a dumb hillbilly with a bad haircut and earring. I just trusted him as far as I could throw him, but I like his take on singleness. Oh, thank you. There's another. I got 2 comments on that now. That we make good janitors and that dating can be fun. His advice for women about looking beyond a man's looks and income is important in things such as sense of humor and character. The Christian women sure made the pastor, and you pay a heavy price with the yeast infection. Yes, she did. That's going to be for life. But I admire your honesty and openness of a lesson learned and shared with the audience. Thank you. I think that's the only way you redeem something like that, is talk to people about your own mistakes. I'm curious to learn more about your evolution towards militant Protestantism. I don't know how long I'm going to last in the Catholic Church. I swore never again to go into Auschwitz. Never again to go into a place that was making me feel worse, especially I'm feeling worse coming out the doors and going in the doors. And it's pretty close right now. So I don't know either. I don't know what this whole thing is about. It felt right. I felt it's what I was supposed to do, and time will only evaluate if I stay. It is nice to get back into a church, though. It's fun. These are all elderly people. They've survived life different ways, And I like to look at them, bent over and stooped, walking with a cane. That's going to be you and me before too long, if we're lucky. I'm curious to learn more about the evolution towards militant Protestantism. The priest in Denver next might tell you to hold open those doors and let the last one hit you. Permanently your closet Martin Luther loving. It's very underground, so I'm not worried about that. I am worried about penance. I don't do it. I don't believe in it. I don't believe you get forgiven from sin by a priest sticking his hand on you and claiming, I absolve you from sin, Sean. So the Hamas and Israeli crisis, I do not support Israel in this at all. They're a fully equipped army with nuclear arsenal. It would be like I heard the distraction of somebody saying online that it was like the Hamas were picking at them with a needle, and Israel was responding with massive overkill, and used this as a whole excuse to just obliterate Hamas. So I think that's bad, and the United States supports them to $50 billion a year to buy weapons so they can kill Palestinians. That's awful. And that'll be about do it. I'm tongue-tied today, for I haven't been doing this long enough. We'll catch you later. Bye.